A to the K.
To the K. To the K.
Hello one and all, welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show, where today we have another episode of 10, where we are talking the 10 WWE Superstars who should move in the draft.
Yeah. I dare say this week, Carl, on our show, it's going to be mega, isn't it?
It's going to be mega. Got a mega week in store, boys.
We have it.
But I think, people that need to move in the draft is just close the door.
True.
Won't be so drafty.
But then how do you let Brian?
That's a good point.
Just be outside.
Yeah. That's why we haven't seen him for so long. The door has previously been
waiting for a draft.
Let me in. So yeah, terrible jokes aside, should we dive right in with it with number 10? The first person who should move in the draft is Drew McIntyre. Is it me talking about this guy?
I think it is, and I look forward to the Scottish accent throughout.
I know, yeah, terrible. Sorry, Drew.
Drew.
So basically...
See you, Drew.
Do you know what? Anyone who knows me, like you all do, you all know me well, I'm a massive Drew stan. Let's be honest.
You
fucking love Drew McIntyre, right? And I'll never forgive the fans for turning on him.
You spent hours picking that picture.
I did. Just yeah. Looking for ages.
Ain't no shattered dreams there for you, either.
But no, in all seriousness, I was a huge fan. I was made up when he beat Lesnar at Mania. He got the belt, and then beat Big Show right after because that happened.
That was the thing.
But yeah, he's never been given the chance with the title in front of the fans, and unfortunately, since fans came back, he's just kind of steadily fell down the card, hasn't he? Right? And
slippy.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, every match he's pretty much done has still been a banger. Obviously, Sheamus, Drew and Gunther was incredible at WrestleMania.
This thing, he's putting on some quality matches.
He is.
Yeah.
But there also seems to be potentially some unrest. Now, obviously, he blacked out his profile on Twitter, didn't he? He removed references to WWE and things like that. So, slightly disgruntled he may be.
Well, you want him to get back to gruntled, yeah?
I want him proper gruntled.
Reet gruntled.
Reet gruntled. And what better way to do that than to give him a move in the draft? Now,
so, is anything coming with this move? Are we changing gimmicks?
Well, we're changing a lot of things.
Okay.
The sword's going to be gone.
Good.
Still going to be Scottish, but he's going to go heel.
Still going to be Scottish.
Hello.
I say.
It's like another Kofi Kingston situation. Aren't you Jamaican? All this time it's been a ruse. But no, he is going to go to Raw, or he should do, and he should turn heel, and he should be another... Because let's be honest, you've got Cody Rhodes, who I imagine will stay on Raw. Spoilers, he's not in this list. And, he's fighting Brock at the moment. Once he's done with Brock... is he going to get back to Roman straight away? Is that going to be held off?
Sure, you have to fight Omos. At some point. Everyone has to fight Omos.
It's a rite of passage in Raw Underground. But so essentially, he needs to be freshened up, and to do that, he turns heel, gives Cody someone else to feud with until eventually he finds his way back to Roman's arms, because that's going to happen. Whether it's at SummerSlam, whether it's at the next Mania. Yeah, but yeah, it's just such a shame. I'd love to see him build back up to the top of the card again.
But this is the trouble, isn't it? The top of the card is Roman. This is the trouble with having the titles together.
Yeah.
Because I totally understand why they don't want to take away the streak as it is at the minute. I totally get that. But people like Drew, who deserve to be at the top, there's no other avenue for it.
No.
This is one time I'm actually supporting multiple championships, because you go, well, you could have had two top guys.
Yeah.
But instead...
FTR, gimmick infringement.
Don't sue us. But instead, what best we're going to get is, I'm all for the moves of Raw and just a bit of a refresh. But you go, well, are we going to go mid-card? But then would you take that away from Austin? The whole point in the US title is to build up a star. He doesn't need building up.
No.
So he's just top of the...
Depending on what they do, so if Roman stays as the champ across both shows, he's still not going to show up to Raw all the time. You've still got Cody, who's going to be the main event star without the title. So you've got Cody feuding against Drew in a heel role would still work. Yeah. If they are going to create or split the titles or do whatever they do, so there's a champ on Raw and champ on SmackDown, if Cody gets that one, then again, he's going to be a perfect foil for Cody, I think. So one of them, I think, massively needed.
But you don't want the sword. You don't want him accidentally cutting through the top rope anymore, no?
I wouldn't mind his sword. To display in the guy room. What are you on about?
I love how wild wrestling is. You go like, you have some weeks where it's like, he got a chair, that's it, you back to the backstage.
Literally
He's throwing
tries to
swords around,
decapitate himself, chopping ropes in half.
Killed a guy.
No, that's Marty Jannetty. Supposedly. But
always comes back.
It does. OG fans will pick up on that reference. But yeah, so that's going to be my first pick. And, the first five we're going to talk about are people moving to Raw. But first, I think Drew McIntyre.
I like
Absolutely.
it. So, Carl, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to say all of Imperium.
That makes sense.
I would have said Gunther, but I feel like the faction has to move as a whole. I don't know if the draft would allow that. I don't know if you have to move them individually.
I don't know if they've detailed
how messy
that yet.
it's going to get.
On Raw and Smackdown the last couple of weeks, they've been politicking with Adam Cole, haven't they? Adam Cole? No, Adam Pearce. Yeah, that's the one, baby.
Adam Cole's it. I don't care anymore.
I told you I'm not going to be Keith Lee's manager. But now, so there's been people trying to say they need to move as a team, they need to move as a faction. So
the trouble is you can't ever go, well, that's how they used to do it, because they just don't care. But like New Day got split up, so you can't, like, sometimes you can move faction, sometimes you can't. So I don't know. But in this scenario, I want all of Imperium to move, and title and all, as far as I'm concerned. Let's move the titles around a little bit.
Yeah,
I think the US title, to me, has always had a home. I don't know, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm talking about that. Has always had a home in SmackDown. So because you have to have the mid cards where you have them, right? So let's get the IC back over. Let's get the IC back over to Raw. And let's be honest, this is another guy who should be in the picture with the likes of Cody, with the likes of now Drew, with the likes of, who's the other guy with the wild style who wears pink pants sometimes? Seth. I was joking. With Seth,
I was like Rick Boogs.
It's not Rick Boogs. I feel like his tenure in SmackDown is kind of like, okay, we've done this now. I feel like Raw is a refreshing place, assuming you don't move everyone and then it's just SmackDown on a red brand. Yeah. But Imperium, like, as a faction, they're absolutely killing it, so you have to keep them together. But for me, the main, obviously, guy is Gunther here, and he has a very bright future, and one that I think is red.
So it's imperative we move Imperium. See what you're doing. So next, now this one I'm keen to get your thoughts. Now, we aren't the biggest LA Knight fans, let's be honest, right? But I don't think him on SmackDown is really doing the best for him anyway. He kind of comes out, I mean, obviously he's not had the best of feuds regardless. He wasn't even on WrestleMania. He had the Bray Wyatt thing, didn't really go great. I think, he's wearing a red jacket there, red's Raw.
It suits. The trouble I've got with LA Knight isn't LA Knight, it's the fans totally overhyping him.
Yeah.
When all he's done is come out with a few catchphrases and lose. Like, that's his main roster so far. I have 3 catchphrases that I'm going to repeat on a loop, with no charisma around it. Sorry, LA. And I'm going to suffer losses. And this guy could be a big deal if they didn't just feed him to people. It's like, well, you're going to lose to Bray, and then you're going to lose to whomever we made you lose to after that. And then you're going to go into a program with Shinsuke, and you're clearly going to lose there too. Yeah. So, like, what's his aim here?
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, oh, he's the future, he's going to be a champion. It's like, dude's 46, he needs to get that done now.
Yeah.
So
is he really 46?
He's 40 something. I may be exaggerating slightly.
Dude's 70. But Anthony,
older than Vince McMahon.
Let me talk to you, because something else I think will benefit him. Maybe not us, because we're not massive LA Knight fans. But something that will benefit him by moving to Raw is more time.
True.
Right? So he's the kind of person who, like, the fans, for whatever reason, really resonate with his promo segment and him coming out and talking and doing.
They're just like, I like the way he says yeah.
Yeah, basically.
It's positive.
So I think you'd likely get more opportunities to see that on Raw.
I've just come to this realization. Sorry, I don't mean to digress. I've just come to this realization, right? I've just tried to give him shit. And the fans shit for the most. Like, he just says yeah, right? And yet, the yes movement was a thing, and Daniel Bryan got the word yes over.
Yeah, but he doesn't point
in such an insane way.
He doesn't do finger points.
Maybe I'm the villain. Maybe I'm wrong here.
Wait, am I the problem?
But maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe he's not just a catchphrase. Because let's face it, these things can.
Maybe we're just old.
I don't know. I think what annoys me is they go, he's like Stone Cold. It's like, Stone Cold used to talk between catchphrases. He didn't just come out and go, what, and then walk away. And I think that's what bugs me. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, D-Bride did just go, yes, and everyone loved it. So maybe he's like, I've got a new take on that. Yeah,
maybe. No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not massively on the LA Knight hype train either. But do you know what? Maybe a move to Raw is going to change that for us. Maybe, we'll see him with fresh eyes. But I'm just not a big fan of catchphrases anyway. The whole Cody, so what do you want to talk about? It's fucking awful. Terrible. So like,
I don't mind catchphrases like when they happen organically. I think the trouble is, even Cody's is kind of forced.
Yeah.
It's like,
he did it back in
didn't
AEW,
become a thing because he's like, I'm going to start going out and saying what.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of organically happened and then it became a thing, Yeah. It's the same, like, look at even Kurt Angle, look at the "you suck" stuff. I know that's not typically a catchphrase, but that became synonymous with Kurt on the back of his feud with Edge. So then it become a fun thing to do. And it's like, that's become synonymous. Like, it's not something that they forced. And said, well, let's everyone chant "you suck." Like, it kind of just naturally happened. And that's, I think, what we're missing is the natural element to it.
Yeah, definitely. But people seem to love it, so
yeah,
fair play.
Because we're out of touch. Out of touch. Who's that guy?
It's for you to talk about.
Okay, well.
It's your favourite, you love this guy.
I know, of course I do. So, for starters, let's move into Raw.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are listening, and I haven't bothered mentioning who it is, Pete Dunne.
We do that a lot.
Butch. We're probably more of a TV show at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, for starters, let's move into Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, let's get rid of Butch.
But you just said move into Raw.
No, let's get rid of the name. Let's get rid of the name.
Okay.
He's Butch enough. He doesn't need to actually have it in his name. So we're going back to Pete Dunne. I kind of want to go back to the Bruiserweight. Let's not dress like we're in the Peaky Blinders anymore. Let's just go back to what was working for us. Not that it's difficult this because they actually did kind of well. As the Brawling Brutes. Yes. I'm just going to cough on it.
Okay.
So it's not like the other stuff didn't work. I don't know, for me, probably more on a personal level, I feel like he didn't really get much of a solo run with his own stuff. So I want him to, as much as he's following Drew on a level, I want him to head over to Raw independently and be the Bruiserweight again. That's the aim here.
Okay.
And then fucking go for the, I'd say IC title, US title, because they're both on the show at the moment. But get in the mid-card scene, build yourself up. Let's, as much as I'm a fan of this guy, let's be honest, this isn't like, he's going to go and fight Roman and possibly, like, even if he had a match with Roman, no one's going to expect him to win. So
yeah,
let's rock the mid-card.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
So is Pete done?
Good bit.
I mean, you can see him going up against the likes of Gargano and people like that, can't you? Guys
Gargano on NXT? That's unlikely.
He's on Raw now.
I must have blocked that out.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes he is. I think he's injured actually again at the minute. But yeah, I don't know. He's obviously not going to...
Why did I laugh?
I don't know.
I felt so many injuries.
Sorry. Yeah, I think there's opportunities there for him to go up against, even like when AJ comes back and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be a good feud. I like that.
Good stuff could happen.
Good stuff there.
And speaking of, stuff. So carrying along with Scarlett Bordeaux, because you couldn't just move one without the other.
If you separate them two, he's fucked.
He is absolutely fucked if that happens, which is why they're both together in this pick. But yeah, it hasn't really panned out for him, has he? Old Cross.
I love how the last thing I remember them saying was he's getting one last chance. With what?
Yeah.
What are you giving him to work with?
The last time I saw him on Smackdown, he was then now going after Rey Mysterio, who's kind of in a feud with
And then, did that happen?
Judgment Day.
Is that
what I've seen?
Is it over?
I don't know. Probably over before it's begun.
He's just still there. TikTok, Ray. One of these days. This is how I win in the end.
Yeah. He basically just... What they should do, move him to Raw and give him the TikTok gimmick, but it's just him doing TikTok dances.
I think we should go one step further. I think we keep it into the wrestling realm. Just make him the timekeeper.
I like that, actually.
Match time's running out. TikTok, guys.
Iron Man matches. He'd be perfect for that. But no, all kidding aside, there's something there with Cross, isn't there? He just hasn't been able to realise it in WWE for whatever reason.
I feel, to be honest, I feel really bad for it. He almost realised it in NXT.
Yeah.
There
was something there, wasn't there?
There was a fire under him. He come out. He was a badass. Everyone loved it. He won the belt, and then it was like, well, I'm sore now.
Yeah.
Like, I may be downplaying that a bit. He got injured,
Yeah.
right? So we had to relinquish the title, and then it just kind of never really caught fire after that.
No.
I'm not sure why. Part of it, I think, aesthetically, I think obviously they definitely fucked up with the gladiator thing they were making him do. But even now, like, do you not think weirdly he seems a lot less intimidating now? He's got like the hair. He's like he's just like a frat bro.
So that's
now.
what I need to do. I can shave this off, and then I'll be menacing.
Like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the aesthetic is just a lot less intimidating now, and I don't know what that is.
There is. There needs to be, if anyone needs a fresh start, it's going to be this guy. They need to. I don't think they're going to get rid of the gimmick anytime soon. It's still going to be like the presentation of the black and white stuff and like the fucking hourglass and all that. But he just needs something different. And again, it comes back to the whole 3 hours thing. I feel like he struggles for time on SmackDown because Bloodline takes up an hour of the show, and that's whatever else they can fit in. So. At least here. That's
what they're saying to him. You got, like 3 minutes, TikTok. TikTok.
He's like, with his hourglass.
I mean, do you know what? Like, a lot of it will be down to booking, won't it? Like, I say about the aesthetic, but like, what doesn't help when you're trying to be that kind of character, that intimidating character, is the fact that no one seems to find him intimidating. No. Did Ray seem like scared? Or was he like, fuck this guy?
I mean, yeah, to be fair.
So I think that doesn't help because from a booking point of view, that like the whole idea. Look at Undertaker. Undertaker rocks up. People like to go out and you're like, oh fuck, I fucked up.
You're intimidated like, straight away.
And it's like with this guy, it's like, all right, we'll give him like 10 minutes of Scarlet, and then eventually he's gonna put an hourglass on the ring, and then we can all go home.
I mean, his highlight so far of his, since he's come back, is splashing Drew McIntyre in Cardiff with some water.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, but MJF does it.
I still, it annoys me that people got so fucking lost and shit about that, Yeah, anyway, we won't go down that path. So yeah, now on to SmackDown, Anthony.
Yay!
Talk to me.
I think Bobby should go to SmackDown.
Okay.
And for me, and this is kind of out of sheer hope, and this is no disrespect to anyone who's a Bobby fan, but he's kind of a, how do I put it without being an asshole? He's a charisma vacuum, right?
Yeah.
And he needs MVP and doesn't have
the hair
it
business.
For some reason. Well, he does need the hair business, yeah.
That's the only time in his entire run in WWE, and people will probably hate me for this because people love Bobby. It's the only time I felt like he belonged. He had something. He was the leader of the hair business.
It was a shining moment. Do you remember that moment when Retribution was almost relevant enough that they were a problem, and
they all came down.
Hair business came out to deal with them, and I was like, they've just made hair business badass, and then it went nowhere.
Yeah, right.
Which is a crying shame. Hair business was awesome, and it could have been awesome, and they keep social media wise keep might bring it back, is it? But for some reason, Bobby as a solo star has never worked for me. Like people that say, oh yeah, him versus Brock, it happened, yeah. Of course, that was watchable. But
it's like even Mania, he had nothing, did he? He basically did the Battle Royal thing, and he came out and showed the trophy off. That was his WrestleMania moment.
That was his moment.
So if anything says that he
got more of a moment than LA Knight, who promised he was going to have a WrestleMania moment, so that was awkward.
What a dick he must have felt.
It's a shame, but like, I feel like there's something here. I think for me, I've always got caught up in like I'm very much a story guy. Like if they can't like sell a story and they can't talk, that ruins a lot of it for me. I've no doubt he can put on a good match. I've seen him put on good matches, but I don't really get drawn in without the story elements. I don't believe he's ever really been like in a feud because I just don't think he's asked. No, and that doesn't help. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe a bit of a fresh roster, potentially. Like there's new options. A fresh show. Maybe that will
different
help
matchups can be made, different interactions.
Bobby, because right now him on Raw isn't working for me. So let's I don't know. Let's hope that maybe put him on SmackDown and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely Let's just see. Speaking of the crazy guy who dresses weird,
it works. Wears pink sometimes.
Seth freaking Rollins, man, and the reason that I think that
is just a terrifying picture.
He looks menacing,
so menacing.
But right,
like imagine walking through an alleyway and that guy just suddenly, I'm gonna walk the other way now.
Yeah. So with this one, to be fair, Seth has pretty much carried Raw, I think, for the last year, if not more. And unfortunately, I just can't see him getting anywhere towards the top of the card while Cody's there. And I don't think Cody's going to move. So for me, this is how you get Seth into the main event scene with Roman. And I'm not saying that Seth's going to be the one to dethrone him, although he could be.
But do you know what though? To me, there's a story there as well. You move him to SmackDown, and he could be quite pleased about that, and he could actually be, go into this whole thing about how he didn't get the respect he deserved on Raw and everything. You could build a story around the fact that he would be better off over there.
Yeah, I mean, you massively
could even build a story of him trying to get drafted.
Well, I mean, I can't understand the booking decisions for Seth. Like Logan Paul, it was a great match at Mania and stuff, but at the same time, you kind of thought, I felt a bit shit on Seth because, like, again, it's another year where he's not really being given the limelight he probably needs. But it was a showcase match, eyeballs on him, fair dues. Yeah, right now at Backlash, he's getting Omos.
Yeah, even do you see that social media thing?
I've not seen.
I don't know if it's true or not, so apologies if I'm like throwing misinformation out there. But they put up the thing about like him versus Omos, and they put a gif of Ace Ventura. Alrighty then, because it's just like whatever.
Well,
which I mean, love.
Nothing. And there's already people jumping on the bandwagon saying this is a Vince thing. Is it a Vince? You know what I mean? Is he back? Because he wasn't. It's basically whenever someone doesn't like a piece of booking, it's a Vince thing.
It's a Vince thing.
It can't be that way. Triple H is not a fucking
Can
saint.
we blame Vince for stuff?
Well, everyone else does. Why not?
We have a particularly bad show. We just say it's a Vince thing.
Oh yeah, Vince booked this one.
He's been booking this thing for fucking years.
If only we could get out of the shackles.
Damn it, Vince!
But
wait for the Triple H era.
Exactly. So it baffles me the decisions they're making with Seth, and he deserves so much more. And I think this will allow him to get on Roman's radar. It's a new shirt coming right there.
Roman's radar.
And he's the needle mover, and then you can see where the needle's moving on the radar. So I think we get Seth in the main event scene.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of an unfinished story, isn't it? Yeah.
It's definitely like it depends what they do with Cody. If they're gonna keep it until next Mania, it all hinges on The Rock. If The Rock can't do Mania 40, Roman needs an opponent. It'll have to be Cody, and Cody will finally do what he couldn't do the previous year.
The thing is, if you do get The Rock at this point, and Rock's going to take up Mania 40, when the fuck do you finish Cody's story? I'm not waiting for another WrestleMania. Yeah. I'm not waiting till 41.
Fuck that. You could have something happen at SummerSlam, and then Roman and Rock is not for the title of Mania.
I still think that's workable. The Rock in a match does not need to be for the title.
Obviously, when they do the draft, are they going to introduce titles again, split the titles and stuff, and then you've got Cody being a champ and Roman being a champ, and it's...
How do you split them, though?
Well, it's a draft.
That would be a shit end to the story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the belt.
Well, exactly. So, not ideal, but Seth Rollins to SmackDown, I think needs to happen.
For fuck's sake. Do you know what? I'm sorry, I need to dwell on this for a second. What if they do that? What if they go, we're splitting the titles here, Cody, and then he spends the next fucking year just going, I feel like I need to earn the belt because I was just handed it. Fuck off.
Maybe. Could happen.
Anyway. So, naturally, Carl, as a couple, you like to do things together. So, I think Becky Lynch is going to go, you know what? I think we should both go to SmackDown. And Steph's going to be like, fine. Right? I joke, obviously. Again, this is a similar thing of like she's at the top of her division, if you will. And I feel like she's done plenty on Raw and just needs fresh opponents, really. Yeah. So I feel like even for the potential of like elevating people, you look at people like Shotzi, who is still on SmackDown, I think. But you look at like newer stars coming in, you tend to have fresher opponents in SmackDown for some reason, or I find anyway, that she could get in the mix with and elevate them as well. I just think it's a good shout. Yeah. I just want you to get off my back on this one.
I'm on your back, don't worry. She's going to go up against Trish Stratus at Backlash. I don't know if that's been announced yet, but it seems to be
you've just announced it.
What's going to go down. So, I imagine after whatever happens there, it'll create a bit of freshness for her to move away from Trish at that point and do something different. So, opens up a lot more opportunities. Becky and Charlotte are on the same show again. Ooh. Becky and Rhea. The unfinished business there. Stuff to
there is
stuff to be discussed, isn't there? So, the man moves to SmackDown. And Gunther's gone to Raw. So
how unexpected. Sorry, I nearly fucked this right up for you. I do apologise.
Gunther's gone to Raw, so why not move Austin Theory in the other direction?
What a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? You need a mid-card title on both shows. If Gunther's going to go over there, then I think Austin Theory as well. He had Cena at WrestleMania, and the funny thing is, Cena's words seem to ring true, because he said, if I beat you, then you're done. If you beat me, well, then you're done. You've beat John Cena. What's next for you, kind of thing.
Turn into Barney.
Maybe.
I beat you.
But
sorry, cool.
Essentially, he's been accurate, isn't he? Like, now Theory's has got a triple threat match, I think, at Backlash against Bobby and Bronson Reed for the title. So if he retains it, then what do you do? He's fought everyone on Raw pretty much at this point. So
only one place to go.
SmackDown, and again,
I think
fresh blood.
Again, I totally love the US title on SmackDown. I feel that's its home. It's where it should be, man.
Yeah.
So
from a nostalgia standpoint, when you first were getting into it and stuff like that, it's SmackDown glory days, wasn't it? So.
And that's such a petty reason, but he comes with the title, so do you take him?
He comes with the title. I love that. Well, the title's going to go there, so yeah, if he's coming, then but I'm a massive Austin Theory fan. I do think he's kind of plateaued a little bit on Raw, because he kind of had that, people hated him when he was doing the whole selfie gimmick and was Vince's little protege and all that. And then obviously you've been impressed since he's changed his gimmick a bit and become more serious and more heel.
I like the more gritty version. I liked when we got rid of the briefcase and he was a bit more like taking it seriously almost. Yeah. I feel like that bratty sort of gimmick, it only lasts for so long, really, doesn't it? When you go, look, if you want to be top of the industry, you're gonna have to like take the job seriously at some point. And yeah, it's all storyline, but I feel like it was sort of a natural progression to go into that like proving himself mode that he's doing now.
Definitely. But essentially he's fought everyone that he needs to fight now, and there's nothing else waiting for him on Raw. So if he keeps the belt, I think going over to SmackDown can create those new opportunities for different opponents.
Indeed.
Which leads us to the final person we think should move.
Oh,
people.
People. All of them?
All of them. They're a group,
all
right?
of them?
They're a faction.
I kid. Judgment Day, man. Judgment Day. It's got to happen. Like, let's look at this. You got one of the best factions of them. Is this exaggerating to say of the modern day? I feel that's not really a high bar.
It's not many factions.
So I feel like it's fine to say.
Accurate.
But Judgment Day have been absolutely killing it, and I feel like we need to keep the momentum going. The inevitable clash here is Judgment Day and Legado del Fantasma, or apparently are the Latino World Order now?
Yes.
Have they dropped their old name because Ray's part of it?
LWO for life.
And it just feels like a natural thing, but they are obviously SmackDown based. So let's get Judgment Day over to SmackDown. Let's finish that story. And then, I mean, we really don't have any factions, so it's difficult, but you've got a better opportunity for Finn. You could even put... Fuck. Why are the names escaping me? Damien. You could even put Damien in the US title scene. Not necessarily for the win, but US title scene. Just makes sense. Yep. Dom can...
Just Dom along.
Just stand there praising.
Do you know what's interesting about this as well? Do you think that the whole of Judgment Day should move? Because I wanted to ask you about this. Do you think the whole faction should? Part of me wouldn't be so disappointed if Finn didn't move with them. I feel like he's just a spare part in that faction.
I think the funny thing is he's meant to be the leader of the faction. So from a story point, you got to move the whole faction. But the reality is Rhea's the leader of that faction, and that could be how you do it. They get drafted, and Finn's like kind of upset about it, and it's like it's not a problem because like you're not in charge. And that could even be a realization for him. What are you gonna do without a leader? And like, she's right there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, that'd be an amazing segment.
But it's Rhea's faction. I think that's fairly evident at this point. She's the one holding the gold. She's the one who's probably done the most damage in terms of like impact for the faction. Like, look at some of the
we need some damage control.
But look some of the stuff that, like, she's been the most involved in interfering in matches. Look what she did to Kevin Owens the other week.
That was awesome.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, she's just the dominant force there. And I think, you know what, her, Damien and Dom could be just fine without Finn. For me, I'd move the whole faction. Finn's fine, he's harmless. It comes to something when Dom's more relevant in the faction than Finn. That's upsetting. A lot of people might advocate for splitting them up. I think very few and far between that we get a good faction, so I don't want to split them up just yet.
Yeah, I don't think they're done, are they, as a group? As I say, I wouldn't be devastated if Finn didn't move with them, but yeah, all of them.
We still need to, we need Finn to finish the LWO stuff because there's enough of them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Judgment Day are going to be fairly outnumbered. And then they're going to try and introduce members again. And it just get messy.
Didn't work. Too great, did it? But yeah, so they are our 10 superstars who should move in the WWE Draft coming this week. I think it starts on Friday at Smackdown, doesn't it?
Yes.
So let's see how wrong we are. But let us know. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments.
And remember, if you don't like the draft results, blame Vince.
Yeah. And if you do like it, then Papa H, baby, because that's how we do things. So yeah, let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you want to see move shows? Let us know all about it. Are we going to talk about any sponsors and things these days? Kind of gone renegade now. We're talking off everything, but
Gone road.
Yeah, if you want some beers, get yourself some beers. TopRopeBrewing.com.
Top Rope. We're long standing there, aren't we?
Indeed.
Buy our merch, but I don't know. I feel like maybe we pull back a little bit, do some Raw show without any stuff, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But as always, we love Top Rope. You love Top Rope, so get some beers and drink them and watch us. Indeed. And then wear our shirts like this one.
Yay. And not like this one.
So I'm just should we not do sponsorship? And I've just done sponsorships, but whatever. Carl kind of like
Pro Wrestling Tees and all these little. No, we won't go on. But
have you tried Manscaped?
Us neither.
They do not sponsor us in any way, so I can't really go any further than just making that slight joke.
Indeed. But yeah, so let us know, and yeah, we're looking forward to the draft, and let's see what happens.
Getting drafty.
So until next time, we will say bye.